안녕하세요 여러분, 여러분 AJ예요. My name is AJ and welcome back to Shadow Spinner Reacts, where we are starting a new show, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. Now this one had been recommended to me for a long time, and I have been delaying watching it because I knew I was going to want to watch it for the channel, and it finally got voted in on the polls on Patreon, so we are going to begin watching it this week. Now, I'm not like 100% blind on this show. I do know that this is about obviously an attorney, and that I believe they said that she's autistic. I've heard that this is what I have been told, one of the better, more accurate representations of what it's actually like to be functioning with autism in real life. I know a lot of shows, when they try to represent people that are on the spectrum, they tend to infantize them a lot, and it's really demeaning. But this show, they actually are like, from what I've been told, it's a good representation of just like the way that her brain focuses on particular things and how that creates obstacles sometimes in communication, whatnot. But she's a very intelligent person. So that is as much as I know about this show. I don't actually know what the tone is, although I believe it's probably fairly lighthearted, just based on the way people talk about it. And yeah, so yeah, well, I that's all I've got up front about it. So let's just get this show on the road. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, this does not look like a standard intro reel. This looks like it's just the start of the first episode. I've seen some type of fish was underneath the... Oh, it's a whale! Lots of whales. But the coloring for this drama is very, very bright. So I'm thinking that that means it's going to be a much more lighthearted drama. You know, when you're... And we've got rows of duck. This is scary, actually. Oh, with the random blue one. You have to have a random one that's a different color. It actually, that makes it so much less creepy. Okay, the rocking is making me want to rock. I don't know why.
영우가 지금 5살인데 아직 말을 못한다고 하셨죠? 아 예.
Oh, she's not.
엄마 아빠 이런 간단한 단어도요. 네, 전혀 못합니다.
우리 마누라고 무슨 짓 했냐고 이러다.
So she's probably been going to the house. So he's... First of all, if I was his wife, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, what accusations are you throwing at me, sir? I've been babysitting a child. Oh, geez. Oh, that's disorienting. Oh, that is so disorienting. If I was his wife, I would divorce him. She can talk. She just can't talk directly to people. She's listening, she's paying attention, she just isn't comfortable directly communicating with somebody. He's so happy that his daughter's talking that he's instantly forgotten that he was just attacked by his landlord. And look at the landlord's wife's face. She's happy for the child too. Don't. She's not gonna talk directly to you. Now, what are all those case books doing there? Are those... What does her dad do? Or was he studying for it? So she's reading what is available in the room around her. Although what is not realistic about this is they said that she's 5 years old. So the idea that a 5-year-old can read and understand all of that. Now it'll be easier, I would think it would be easier in Korean than it would be in English, because unlike English, Korean Hangul is perfectly phonetic. So like every single time you see a letter, it's always pronounced the same way. Whereas in English, if you're seeing new words on the page for the first time, you don't necessarily know how to pronounce it, because the same letter combinations can have completely different pronunciations depending on what word they're in. So it might actually be easier for a child that's reading Hangul to at least be able to read and pronounce it all, even if they don't understand what they're saying, to at least read and recognize the sounds. But it still seems a bit of a stretch for me for a 5-year-old to be reading that thick of a book. More whales! It's a normal! It's all the different... Well, it's not just all whales, because that's a dolphin and lots of whales. This is a fixation on whales is what this is. Makes me think of like my room growing up, only my room was horses everywhere. I had like a horse banner going around the top. I have a horse light I still have the horse light switch cover. Lots of horse figurines that I used to collect, horse pictures, horse paintings. All the horses. Oh, it's pretty. So she is having trouble... I don't know if she's having trouble reading other people's emotions, or I think from the way that she just acted, it's conveying her own emotions. So that was interesting that she had an emotion board that's showing what expressions match with what emotions, so that she can... It's almost like creating her own intentional interface. Instead of her emotions showing up... It's not that she doesn't have emotions. She has the emotions, but she doesn't automatically communicate them, it seems. So she has to, like, check what face matches the emotion that she wants to show. Kimbap. Oh, kimbap. Do you know how long it's been since I've had kimbap? You know what textures to expect, yes.
지하철을 타고 역삼역에서 내립니다. 4번 출구로 나와 312m 직진하면 회사입니다. 총 소요 시간 38분.
She talks faster than I do. I have to like consciously slow down how fast I talk, but I don't talk that fast.
엉뚱한 소리 및 솔직함 금지.
She'll think about it.
필요한 상황이라면
수족관에서 일하냐?
What if the situation absolutely requires whale talk? Oh, that would be a nightmare for somebody who is like can't stand touching other people and who gets sensory overloads very easily. Okay, here's what you do. You have your headphones on, you face down, you focus on a spot on the floor. Oh, revolving doors. Why do they block off the doors next to it? Did you see that? They were actually blocking off the regular doors next to it. Oh gosh, somebody rescued this woman. Oh, he pressed the stop button. Oh, I like this guy. He's just like, I'm just going to hurt her. And he's not touching her. Did you notice that? He's keeping his arms out to kind of like help her, guide her, but without touching her.
어디로 가세요?
I like him. First impression, he is very respectful. Because of how brightly lit and brightly colored this show is, I'm going to hope that means that he can be trusted. This does not seem like one of those nitty-gritty crime shows, even though we're in an attorney's office, so I'm gonna hope that there's no nefarious hidden agendas here and that I can just take characters at face value. He's in this. He's in a lot of stuff. So they're not on the prosecution side for anything, because if they were on the prosecution side, they'd be in the prosecutor's office. So either they're doing defense or they're doing civil cases.
뒷장은 없습니까?
예, 뒷장 내용이 뭔데요?
제기사항 자폐 스펙트럼 장애.
이거 뭐 더 할 말은 없고.
제 이름은 똑바로 읽어도 거꾸로 읽어도 우영우입니다. 기러기 토마토 스위스 인도인 별똥별 우영우.
She's saying her name is a palindrome.
네, 반가워요.
For those of you who don't know, there is a song out there by Super Junior called Rokugo, and the lyrics are written in palindromes, and it's amazing. And if you don't know what a palindrome is a word or phrase that is spelled the same forward as it is backwards. And because in Hangul they write in syllables instead of in characters, it's not that 우영우 is, if you were writing it using like the English alphabet, like the Latin alphabet, it wouldn't be a palindrome. But in Korean, because U is written as a single character, Young is written as a single character, and U is written, then it's a palindrome for, like, it's a syllabic palindrome. Palindromes are fun. I love palindromes. I love things with patterns. Patterns are just fun. Whether it's like a mathematical pattern or a linguistic pattern, it's fun. So, like, she's pulling patterns out with, like, words and her own name. And sorry, I'll stop now.
변호사님이야말로 뒷장에만 꽂혀서 앞장 안 본 거 아니에요?
Were you too fixated on the second page to look at the first one?
변호사 시험 성적 1,500점 이상. 이런 인재를 한 바다가 안 데려오면 누가 데려옵니까?
의뢰인 만날 수 있고 재판 나갈 수 있는 변호사가 필요한데.
You also need somebody who can prepare for trial, because trial preparation is its own skill.
변호사님 첫 출근날 자기소개 잘했어.
Yeah, did you introduce yourself well on your first day here? No, probably not. Everybody's nervous on the first day of work.
저랑은 다르지 않습니까?
Yeah, everybody's different from everybody. This is a common thing that... Yeah, explain it. In what way? What way is she different? Say it.
예, 정 그러시면 신입한테 사건 하나 맡겨보겠습니다.
Yes, I am insisting.
아니면 장애인에 대한 제 편견인지 시험해 보겠습니다. 만약
Okay.
우영우 변호사가 의뢰인 만날 수 있고 재판 나갈 수 있는 수준이 아니라고 판단되면 그때 내보내도 되겠습니까?
Isn't it illegal to fire somebody for that? Isn't even in Korea? Like, I know there's different standards in different countries for when you can let somebody go. Like, for instance, if you absolutely cannot do the job function no matter what accommodations are provided to you, they don't have to keep you in a job function that you cannot do. But if you can do the job function, they can't fire you, you know, just because you have different obstacles to deal with. No, she's getting sidetracked by whales. So the one thing that he could, if she cannot focus effectively and converse, like if she went off like that in court, and she was in court presenting at a trial and had this diatribe where she just went off about whales while she's presenting a case, yes, that's actually interfering with her job function, because that means that they're not providing their client with the best legal representation they can. However, not every attorney at a law firm needs to be a trial attorney. Like, and not, at least not an in-court trial attorney. Not every attorney needs to do client intake. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of legal legwork, a lot of research that needs to be done, a lot of documents that need to be looked through and processed and double-checked against the current law. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done legally, a lot of, especially when you're going into trial prep, especially if you're doing negotiation prep, there's a lot of work that needs to be done that does not involve talking at trial or even necessarily directly communicating with clients. And actually, having her in the room when you are having the client discussions, she's going to pick up on details that you're going to lose.
수준 여자야?
그게 지금 마누라한테 할 소리요? 다시 한번 그딴 소리 했다간 다 같이 죽는다 했어 안 했어? 어?
왜 남자한테
Yeah,
꼬리지?
don't talk to your wife like that.
왜 그 몸파는 년처럼? 왜?
Oh, punch him in the face.
몸 파는 년? 몸 파는 년?
미쳤나 지금?
No, you're out of... She should have divorced you ages ago. Oh, but
그냥 죽자. 너 죽고 나 죽고.
this is going too far. Lady.
너 죽고 나 죽고 다 끝내자. 이형같이.
Now, she didn't... I don't think she hit him hard enough for that to have killed him, but... So my guess is she's going to be arrested for murder, but that's not actually what killed him.
피고인은 살인 미수 혐의로 기소.
With attempted murder?
혐의로 기소.
아 뭐야?
남의 말을 따라하는 것으로 자폐 흔한 증상 중 하나입니다.
하지 마 반향어.
하지마 반향어.
Yeah, she's like, she has to repeat it inside of her brain.
아무튼 그럼 우영우 변호사가 피고인을 위해서 할 일은 뭐겠어?
Verify what happened first. You need to talk to her and get the full situation.
집행유예 받으세요. 아무리 죄명이 살인 미수라도 이 경우라면 충분히 가능해.
네, 알겠습니다.
You should find out...
피고인 만날
You're saying
준비하자.
we should get her probation. Maybe you should check to make sure she's guilty first before getting probation. You haven't even met with her to get her side of the story yet.
이 아가씨가 변호사예요?
And this is where
그럼 얘기 잘
some of the
나누시고요.
difficulties are going to
저는
come
먼저
in,
나가보겠습니다.
because when she's not making eye contact, when she's standing like that, it comes across as a lack of confidence. Not competence necessarily, but confidence. And if you look like you're unconfident, then your clients are going to get nervous about you representing them.
아이고 세상에. 아이고 천재라더니 진짜 변호사.
Oh, not the touch, not the touch, not the touch, not the touch, not the touch. She doesn't like touch. She doesn't like touch. I get that you're happy. I get that you're happy. You need to back off.
남편분은 언제 치매 진단을 받으셨습니까?
5년
She can't do the small talk.
남편이 구청 일
And she actually handled that very well.
일을 했거든.
Like, considering how
성격이라.
clearly problematic touch is to her, she actually handled that very well, just slowly backing off and retreating and sitting down. Counting to 5, so giving herself time before she comes into the room. I don't know if that's to calm herself down or to keep herself from, like, barging in.
피고인의 살인 미수 혐의에 대해 무죄를 주장하려고 합니다.
이거 딱 보면 모르겠어요? 이 사건
So here's the problem.
피고인한테 집행유예 주려고 마음 먹고 있는 사건이에요. 그러니까 피고인이 반성하고 있는 거 보여주고
Showing that the defendant is remorseful requires her saying that she did it on purpose. So I actually don't like attorneys like him who are like, look, we need to have them try to get probation. He didn't even listen to her story. He doesn't know what her side of the story is. He paid no attention to whatsoever. He just decided that she's guilty
유무죄를 다투어
and is working on probation.
왜요? 왜 그렇게 생각하는데?
몸무게가 22톤인 암컷 향고래가 500kg에
No, don't get distracted. Don't explain the metaphor. Explain the case.
이 암컷 향고래의 몸무게는 얼마일까요?
모르겠어요.
정답은 고래는 알을 낳을 수 없다입니다. 고래는 포유류라 알이 아닌 새끼를 낳으니까요. 무게에만
The answer is you're asking the wrong question.
민법에 있습니다.
민법?
민법 1004조 고의로 직계 존속 비상속인 그 배우자 또는 상속의 선순위나 동순위에 있는 자를 살해하거나 살해하려는 자는 상속을 받을 수 없다. 다시 말해 자기가 죽이거나 죽이려고 한 사람한테서는 상속을 받을 수 없다는 뜻입니다. 피고인은 퇴직 공무원인 남편의 연금으로 생활합니다. 임대료를 받는 다세대 주택도 남편 명의입니다. 만약 살인미수죄가 인정된다면 피고인은 남편이 죽고 난 뒤 엄청난 경제적 위기에 처하게 됩니다. 남편의 연금도 받을 수 없고 집도 상속받을 수 없게 됩니다. 피고인이 남편을 다치게 한 것은 사실이니까 모든 혐의에 대해서 무죄를 받을 수는 없습니다. 그렇다면 살인미수죄가 아닌 상해죄로 집행유예를 받아보겠습니다.
Because he didn't think through the long-term consequences of getting her off on probation, which would be to destroy her financial future and leave her without any protection if her husband passes away. He's realizing he could have absolutely destroyed his client's future very carelessly.
보통 변호사들한테도 어려운 일이야.
But at least he's becoming more self-aware. So that gives me hope for the future of his character. The revolving door again. I understand the point of the revolving door. The idea is with the revolving door, you're actually maintaining the temperature in the building and when you have, but that doesn't mean nobody can use the regular door.
회전문의 장점은 외부와 내부의 공기 흐름을 완전히 격리한 상태에서 통행자의 출입을 가능케 하는
Hey, she's saying what I just said. I love it. I love it. I feel validated.
회전문 통과할 때요. 리듬을 타면 쉽거든요.
Rhythms and patterns. Rhythms and patterns.
짝짝 참 재밌네요. 거꾸로 해도 우영우잖아요.
And he referenced that it's a palindrome. She's like, I get in trouble for saying things like that. He says it and it's clever. So here's the thing. And this is true regardless of whether a person is on the spectrum or not. And there's a lot of talk about neurodivergence and all that stuff. The fact of the matter is, every person on this planet has their own style of communication. Okay? Even among people who are considered neurotypical, every person has different communication styles and communication preferences. And it is the job of every human being to figure out how to communicate with whoever you happen to be with.
서울법대 201호 그 개새끼.
He didn't say anything, actually. You mean the false accusations? You should have divorced him ages ago.
내 눈앞에 다시 뛰기만 해.
So he's still making the same accusation. Why did she not divorce his sorry self way back when? He's always mistreated her. And he calls her horrible names.
한 번씩 내가 뭐 뭔 마음을 가졌는지가 뭐 중요해.
죽일 마음이었다면 살인미수죄, 다치게 할 마음이었다면 상해죄, 좀 때려줄 마음이었다면 폭행치상죄, 그냥 실수였다면 과실치상죄입니다. 법은 마음을 중요하게 생각합니다.
She does. So here's the
기본이
thing.
바뀝니다.
She is doing actually a very good job of explaining the nuances in a way that is understandable.
보면은
아유, 그분 성질이 장난 아니던데요. 변호사님 보자마자 욕을 하시는데 이 오죽하면 때렸을까 하고 할머니 심정이 다 이해가 되라니까요.
증거 싸움으로 가면 져. 할머니 사정이 딱하다는 걸 보여줘야 돼.
So they're like, they need to show the husband's behavior to the jury. I mean,
척하면서 지금 우리 놀리고 있는 거 아니야?
at least he's recognizing that she's smart.
아세요? 어차피 1등은 우영우.
Oh, so there's no point going for anything but second place because first place is gonna be hers.
걔는 1등하고 나는 뒤처지고. 아 저러고 있는데 어떻게 안 도와줘요?
How can I not help her when she's doing it? But at least her instinct is to help. She's like, she's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. But there's some things that she just needs another person with. Humans are social creatures in general. We are not meant to get through life alone because we all have things we have to deal with and we all need somebody else to help us deal with those things whether we like it or not.
너 바보야? 바보냐고?
It'd almost be like if she thought she wasn't smart, she would find more pity and everything like that and kind of treat and do the thing that I mentioned earlier, which is like infantizing people. But it's because she's so smart that it almost seems like it's more frustrating when she sees that there's things that she can't handle. I'm talking about the coworker that is probably more frustrated than the coworker when she sees that there's something Woo-young can't handle because of how smart she is. And there's that dichotomy that a lot of people can't mesh together. Hey! Physical contact that she did not shy away from.
증이 말하는 국가한테 제 뭡니까? 자해라고.
You would never be allowed to behave like that in court. Don't watch. If you want to know how to act in court, whatever you do, do not watch movies about court cases. I like the music in the show. It's a shame that I'm gonna have to cut it all out for copyright reasons.
우영우 변호사님 출석했습니까?
Respond. You have to talk. You have to talk.
예.
Did he just try to mimic her voice badly?
죄송합니다. 우영우 변호사 출석했습니다.
Come on.
변호인,
This is...
뭐합니까?
진술 안 하실 거예요?
Take a deep breath. Oh, this is gonna be bad. I'm predicting that this is gonna be bad.
모두 진술에 앞서 양해 말씀드립니다. 저는 자폐 스펙트럼 장애를 가지고 있어 여러분이 보시기에 말이 어눌하고 행동이 어색할 수 있습니다. 하지만 법을 사랑하고 피고인을 존중하는 마음만은 연애 변호사와 다르지 않습니다.
Okay, so she did that just to explain her behavior because she needed to counteract the presumption that it is her being unsure about her case.
최선을 다하겠습니다.
말을 너무 많이
Because
한거
people
아닙니까?
say things like that all the time when they don't act.
유도 신문입니다.
인정합니다.
Sit down. Sit back down. You
변호인,
did.
착석하세요.
Yeah, you got your objection and now sit back down. But it is a leading question.
70대 할머니 상대로 너무 몰아치시는 거 아니에요?
저도 처음엔 살살 가리고 했죠. 구속영장 신청도 안 한 거 보면 모르시겠어요? 먼저 세게 나온 건 그쪽이지. 기소명도 제대로 못 붙인 검사 취급 받을 수 없죠.
And that's the other thing that drives me nuts that happens is prosecutors who care more about their record for making an indictment stick than they care about whether or not they indicted for the proper thing. And the moment you start placing your career statistics above the lives of the people that you're affecting, you shouldn't be allowed to be in the law, especially in criminal law.
최영래 씨 변호인 우영우입니다.
Okay, now the prosecutor's like, now it's beginning to be more and more like maybe this wasn't even intentional. Maybe this was self-defense.
아내의 행실을 지나치게 의심하기도 하고 심한 욕설을 내뱉기도 합니다. 피고인은 욱하는 마음에 충동적으로 남편을 때린 아내일 수는 있지만 남편을 살해하려다 실패한 아내일 수는 없습니다.
Has he died?
재판장님, 피해자 박규식 씨가 병원으로 이송 중 사망함에 따라
뭐라고요?
피고인의 혐의를 살인 미수죄가 아닌 살인죄로 변경하고자 합니다.
So what now needs to happen is they need to have an autopsy that shows that the cause of death was not related to the incident.
박규식 씨를 사망하게 해서 미안합니다. 그게 왜 네 탓이야?
Yeah, it's not your fault.
20년 만에 만난 아랫집 꼬맹이 반길 줄도 모르고 대뜸 욕부터 하는 우리 영감 성질 탓이고 얼마 안 남은 줄도 모르고 다리니 휘둘러댄 내 탓이지. 누상 머리 아프다고 찡찡대던 영감탱이였는데.
Wait, you caught that? He was always complaining about his head hurting, which means that something might have happened that had nothing to do with his wife that actually was the cause.
키, 고래 얘기는 하면 안 됩니다. 꼭 필요한 상황이 아니면요.
변호사님이랑 저랑 불만이 있을 때는 그냥 해도 되지 않을까요?
I wonder why whales.
다리미만 보면 안 돼요.
누상 머리 아프다고 찡찡대던.
Thank you. He always complained about his head hurting. That was before he got hit with the iron.
페이지 7번째 줄.
So she's got a relatively
머리가
photographic
깨질
memory.
것 마냥 아파 소파에 누워있는데 택배가 왔습니다. 박규식 씨의 뇌출혈이 외상성이라고 판단하신 이유는 뭐죠?
그야 다리미로 맞았으니까요.
박규식 씨의 머리에 다리미로 인해 찢어진 상처나 멍이 있었습니까?
아니요, 없었어요.
그렇다면 다리미가 그토록 위협적이라고 생각하신 이유가 뭐죠? 골절을 일으키지도 않았고 심한 상처나 멍도 없었는데요.
환자가 다리미에 맞아서 기절까지 했다고 하니까 그걸 토대로 진단.
They said he was hit by an iron. They said he fainted because of it. He had no wounds on his head.
조사를 해야 돼요.
Based on the evidence, if you had not been told he was hit by an iron, what would your diagnosis be?
81세였습니다. 증인 알고 있습니까?
네,
박규식 씨는 치매 환자였습니다. 알고 있습니까?
네,
뇌출혈의 대표적인 전조 증상은 심한 두통입니다. 알고 있습니까?
네.
박규식 씨는 사건 당일 다리미에 맞기 전부터 심한 두통을 앓았습니다. 알고 있습니까?
예? 그건 몰랐습니다.
자발성 경막과 출혈은 주로 노년층에서 관찰되며 치매 환자에게 자주 발생합니다. 맞습니까? 자발성 경막과 출혈했을 가능성은 전혀 없습니까?
자발성 경막하 출혈이었을 가능성 있는 것 같습니다.
피고인의 상해와 피해자의 사망 사이에는 인과관계가 없습니다. 피고인이 살인죄가 아닌 상해죄로 재판받게 해주십시오.
방금 선고 나왔습니다. 살인죄는 무죄고요. 상해죄는 집행유예 받았어요. 축하합니다.
감사합니다.
Oh, yeah, she's not, okay. She's not a huggy person. Not everybody is a huggy person. Notice how she's not even actually touching. She's doing the motion, but she's not even actually touching. Eat your words, sir. Ah! He's like, I wasn't smiling. I wasn't smiling. I love the rain. I used to run around in the rain without an umbrella just because I liked the feel of the raindrops.
강호 선배 오랜만이네.
She called him Sunbae. Did he used to be in... Because once again, all those law books came from somewhere. I like this art style.
그때 사고가 있었습니다.
Nope. I do not want any previews. We don't do previews here. We don't look ahead to next episodes. We watch them when they come. I love this. I really love this. The acting is incredible. The delivery of every line, the speed and the enunciation, the cadence and the rhythms involved are very, very good. There's a lot of characters that I'm interested, like obviously some that I like more than others, but what I really like about this show so far is that there's no character that I just hate. You know, there's some characters that I'm displeased with. I don't know if they're going to be recurring characters or not. Mr. Prosecutor, who was like, well, if you didn't want me to be mean to your client, then you should have let me indict for what I wanted to indict for, because I can't let my record be messed up. Okay, you're a bad prosecutor. Part of the job of being a prosecutor is making sure that you're indicting for the correct crime. And that means you also have to be looking at the evidence to make sure, like even the doctor said, I'm not a detective. They didn't give the full testimony, apparently, to the doctor, because the doctor was not aware that he had a headache prior to being submitted to the hospital. And if the doctor had had that information, he had a headache before this incident happened, and the only place where the iron seemed to have hit was on his arms, then he would have known this guy was never hit in the head in the first place. And he could have given a proper diagnosis. And so the fact that the prosecutor did a haphazard job means that they didn't get the proper diagnosis from the doctor originally, which is why he didn't have the proper indictment originally. So, I'm not happy with the prosecutor, because one of your responsibilities is, if you realize at any point that you are prosecuting for the wrong crime, or that you are prosecuting the wrong person, that there's one of your responsibilities is to call a halt. Okay? And it's not about, oh, my record's going to be messed up. No, it's like, no, it's about having the integrity to be like, hey, we got the information wrong, and we need to correct this, because this is about somebody's life. So I'm not happy with the prosecutor, because that attitude is just one that does not belong in the prosecutor's office. And unfortunately is one that is in a lot of prosecutor offices, but it certainly doesn't belong there. And what she was doing on her end, that's actually, so the job of a defense attorney isn't always to get their client off. Like, as he said, like with the initial instinct that her supervisor, I didn't catch the supervisor's name, that he was going with, of let's get her probation. That actually is, if you think the client is guilty, but there's mitigating circumstances, that's because your job is to do what is in the best interest of your client, provided that you are not lying to the court. So you can't sign an affidavit where you're lying about what your client has or hasn't done. In a criminal case, you can't force your client to plead guilty, even if you know they are. If they insist on pleading not guilty, you can't change that they're pleading, but you can't sign off on an affidavit that you know is false. Affidavit being a statement of facts that is submitted to the court. But you have to do what's in the best interest of your client. But that means that you have to do, like what Attorney Wu was doing, is you think through the consequences of it. And the long-term consequences of this one is it's not just affecting whether or not she goes to jail or stays out of jail right now. It is affecting, when she loses her husband, whether or not she is on the streets. Because she is past the point in her life where she's going to be able to earn a decent income to keep a roof over her own head, absent the pension and everything from her husband, because her husband was probably the breadwinner for their family. So there's all of these things involved, but I like that they portrayed it very realistically. People have prejudices, and they portrayed, I think, realistically what his prejudices were, but I liked that he was willing to be open to it, even if he was kind of forced to try to be open to it by his boss. I want to know, so the boss of that office, clearly knows Youngwoo's dad. Probably from college. I'm guessing he was in law, study-wise. I don't know. He said he was a widower, so it probably had something to do with losing his wife, is why he didn't continue down that road. Don't really know very much about the male coworker that's in the office. He's a character I'm going to have to learn more about, but the other coworker, who was clearly her schoolmate, there's some, it's like, it almost seemed like there was a jealous respect, which I get. I've felt that before, when there's somebody that, like, they're incredibly intelligent, and you're like, no matter how hard you work, you will always be second place to them. But there's a specific person I'm thinking of in high school. Like, she it's like she knew things without even trying. I never saw her working on school. Like, she got it in class, and then I had to bust my chops trying to make myself understand it. And she would come over and she would offer, she was very nice. She was never patronizing when she was offering to help me understand certain concepts and stuff. But it was really frustrating because it was like, she got it so easily. And I was sitting there struggling for it. And I had to get an A in that class because my family expects me to get good grades. It's just, they always had expected me to get good grades. I hated the idea of them thinking that I wasn't as smart as they believed me to be. So I always fought for the best grades I could get. And she seemed to just have it come naturally to her. And I wanted to hate her, but I couldn't, because it's not like she was cheating and it's not like she was mean, and she was just good. And you come to accept the fact, like, okay, this is a person that will always be better than me, and I will always be asking for her for help, and I will never catch up to her, and you just gotta accept it. I understand the feeling of being like, no, we had to fight for second place because she's gonna get first place anyway. First place is unavailable. Somebody else has got it. There's a jealousy inherent in that, but there's also a weird respect that comes with that. And she seemed to lean on a relatively normal human balance instead of going too far into the jealousy side, which some people do. They're like, they get so mad about it that they just have hatred towards that person. She seems to have this frustration because she is so, because Youngwoo is so talented, and yet there's like basic life skills that she has problems with. And so her coworkers seemed frustrated that Youngwoo has problems with those things because it, like, as I said when I was watching it, because the perception that somebody is having problems with something as basic as a revolving door doesn't mesh with, this is the smartest person at our university. There's just a disconnect there, not for Youngwoo, but for people who know her. There are people who see that. Like, there's a disconnect that people sometimes have trouble accepting, that somebody who is incredibly gifted and incredibly talented has difficulty with things that other people might consider basic life skills. And that's where a lot of this attitude and back and forth in the attitude comes from. I love the guy that I hope is going to be our male lead. I mean, he's the way he approaches every situation and every conversation with her is so natural. Like, he adjusts his communication style to what he sees her communication style is. Which is I think I mentioned before, that's the job of every human. If you know you communicate a certain way and you know somebody else communicates a certain way, like, there's supposed to be give and take there as much as possible. And Youngwoo is you can see her trying to adjust to how other people communicate. So it is a two-way street there. So she's trying to adjust to the way she knows other people communicate. And it's nice to see a character who is also trying to adjust to her way of communication and what she needs. Because that's the only way that you actually get the communication going. And I loved this. I love this. I myself am not on the spectrum. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed. People have asked me. I don't know. I don't care. But I would be interested if anybody has had a diagnosis of autism, what their opinion is on this show's representation of living with that. Because it might be a very different, a very different perspective than like what I have on it. But I like that she came across as just somebody who was very smart, very nervous, has some dealing with other humans obstacles to deal with, and was working to deal with it. And sometimes she does it well and sometimes she doesn't do it well. And the whole surrounding cast of characters is an interesting cast, and I feel like we're going to get to know them better, and it's going to become a richer cast, and I'm looking forward to that. I hope it stays relatively lighthearted. I also like that I did catch a couple of things before it was revealed in the show, like when she first hit him, I'm like, did not even look like she hit him in the head, or at least not that hard. Like, I'm like, glad I was right about that, because part of me was thinking, well, maybe they just, because it's a lighthearted show, didn't show it on camera. That, like, no, I was just right. She didn't hit him in the yes. Okay, but I'm gonna stop on this rant. But I'm really, really looking forward to watching more of this. But that's gonna be it for today. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to check out the Patreon where you can vote in the polls to determine what we're watching next. Get content up to 3 weeks early. Get our full uncut reactions. And pretty soon here we're going to have some Patreon exclusives coming out in terms of just K-dramas that we won't be releasing on YouTube, or at least that we won't be releasing on YouTube anytime soon. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. So thank you. Bye-bye. Annyeong.